All right, here's the box that the Cubist comes in. This one says sample, not for sale, but I'm pretty certain the retail version's box is going to look just like this. Standard Joytech packaging. It's always nice. Inside, you're going to have a little warranty card. A little card that has a few warnings. Please drip 5 drops on the atomizer. Please don't overfill. All that good stuff. And then this nice little user manual. And then you're going to have 3 different coil heads in this guy. It's going to be pre-installed with the 0.5 ohm coil head. Then you have a 1 ohm coil head and a Clapton coil head in here. And then along with that, it has a clear plastic drip tip. And lastly, here's your tank. Now, it is 60 millimeters tall from base all the way to the top of that drip tip. It actually is a pretty nice looking tank. It's pretty simple, but it's got some class to it. And I really like the style on the outside. As you guys know, I do like kind of a simpler, classier type style with these tanks. And I think that this one fits the bill. The only thing I'm not super fond of is the font right here where it just says Cubist, but you know, I can get over that. Now, starting at the base, it just has a fixed 510 pin right there, non-adjustable. At the top, this is just a 510 drip tip that can pop right off. You can use other 510 tips in there if you like, but I actually don't mind this one at all. It does have a Delrim base on it, doesn't get too hot, and so I've been sticking with this guy. Now, the way to open this up is just to twist it. Unscrews pretty easily, and when it comes out with this chimney and a coil head attached, which is obviously something that's different, and I don't think we've seen in any other tanks yet. You do just fill this guy up with liquid. You fill up until you get to that max fill line right there. You don't want to overfill so that it doesn't overflow. Obviously, you're displacing some liquid when you put this chimney and coil head into the tank, so that's really important that you don't fill past that max line. You do have a glass tank inside here. It's got kind of a cage style thing, which does protect it a little bit. Another thing that's really interesting are these slots on the threads there. I think maybe they did that so that air can escape as you're screwing the tank in, and air can escape slowly. That's my take on that, but it's a pretty interesting design. This does hold 3.5 mils of liquid if you fill it up to that max line. So let's get that part out of the way. Now let's look at this guy. This does break down into a couple different pieces. This drip tip and this piece right below it actually unscrews. So you can break all this stuff down separately if you want to clean it. There's what that guy looks like, and that's the inner chamber right there, okay? This little piece right here is just on an O-ring and pops off. This is held down and secure once you do screw this guy in. So even though it seems like it's kind of loose on that O-ring, it's not going to go anywhere. Airflow adjustment all the way to the right there is closed. All the way to the left there is as open as it's going to get, okay? So that opens up. There's the airflow. Now the airflow comes in and goes down the outside chamber, which I'll show you a little bit more how that works in a second. This coil head right here does just unscrew like so. We're going to take this guy apart here in a second, but let's put that aside. Now if you look at this all together, after I screw that in, you have an outer airflow chamber, and then the inner part is where the vapor goes back and up. So before we go any further, let's go ahead and pull this apart. This is the 0.5 ohm coil head. This one has the most airflow out of all of them, and it's the one that you can lung hit. First thing I'm going to attempt to do is just pull this little plug out. I can't find my other pliers, but I think this might work. Like so. Well, that pulled some wire out with it, but that's fine. So you got this little grommet and plug like we've seen in a lot of other coil heads. There's your coil inside there. There's all the wicking that's wrapped around it. It is just cotton. Now with this 0.5 ohm coil head, it is a parallel coil head. If you can see, there's 2 strands there. Looks like each strand is 26, maybe 28 gauge. Then you just got this little screen right here, and it's kind of interesting. Only the 0.5 ohm coil heads have that screen. I'll show you the other ones here in a second. So your liquid is coming in through the bottom there, okay? And that's what's soaking your wicks. Now this looks like 2 pieces right here. I tried to get out this center piece. It looks like it's press fit inside. Not sure if you guys can see that. Basically, your airflow that comes down on the outside of that chamber hits the top of your coil and then goes back up. Now, you would think because it doesn't go through your whole coil that it would kill the flavor, but it seems to do okay. It seems like it's just coming down on the outside, hitting the top of that, and then going up through the center, and the vapor obviously then goes to your mouth. Let's see if we can see it from the inside there. Now, if you look at the Clapton and the 1 ohm coil heads right here, you get the 1 ohm right here and the 1.5 ohm Clapton right here. It looks to be a little bit of a different design. I'm going to put the Clapton back in this guy, but we'll go ahead and pull this 1 ohm coil head apart really quick if we can do that. There's what the 1 ohm one looks like. It's just a single wire, cotton wicking. Now, I'm not going to take this one apart any farther, but if you could see on this one, the airflow actually goes down and underneath the coil. So here you got your center chamber. There is a rubber seal around that. There's a couple little air slots. Boom, boom. It's so small, you might not be able to see some of this. And then there's a little hole for that air just right on the inside there. So on these ones, the air does go in on the sides and then up underneath the coil. But with the 0.5 ohm, it looks to just hit the coil on the top. So kind of interesting how the design's a little bit different with both of those. So now I'm going to go ahead and fill this guy up and use the Clapton coil head. I'm going to put a couple drops in the center hole there. Then I'm just going to screw that to the chimney. Fill up the tank to the max line. And I screw this guy together and it should be ready to vape. So let's go ahead, go back up top, vape this, and talk about it a little more.